What's up YouTube? Jeff back again from High on Android, dopetechdaily.com. Today I'm doing another car vlog. It's my first 24-hour impressions with the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now I'm actually shooting this on the front-facing camera of the Galaxy S7 Edge, so you guys will have to let me know what you think about the quality. So this sort of serves as a front-facing camera video test as well as some 24-hour impressions. So I'm just gonna run and do a few errands, talk about it. So yesterday I did the unboxing, gave some size comparisons. You guys saw those for yourself. Very similar in size and shape on the back of the phone to the Note 5 as well as the S6 Edge Plus. It's got those curves that feel really nice in the hand, makes it very easy to hold, just like the Note 5. It's a lot less sharp in the hand than the S6 Edge or the S6 Edge Plus. Definitely love that in terms of the build. It's pretty fantastic. The black color, I actually kind of like it. I originally ordered the silver and then got this black one off Swappa, but so far no regrets on that. The black actually looks really nice. You guys saw me do the RAM management test. If you haven't checked that out, I'll link it below in the description as well. You saw that the Note 5 running Marshmallow as well as the Galaxy S7 Edge, they both performed really well on the RAM management test. The S6 Edge Plus did a little bit worse, but of course that RAM management test is a little subjective because it all depends on which apps you choose, whether or not they are gaming intensive, really intensive apps that are going to take a lot of RAM. So I'm going to do a bunch more tests and maybe do some statistics, sort of compile some means, some medians, and look at the spread of how many apps it sort of keeps in the memory, get some idea of the RAM management. Overall, Marshmallow running super smooth on the S7 Edge, also running super smooth on my Note 5, which is right here. A lot of people asked about that. I'm going to do a comparison of Marshmallow on the Note 5 and the Galaxy S7 Edge. That's going to be coming up, so watch out for that. A couple people asked me to compare different things, see if there are any differences. One problem I have had on Marshmallow with both the Note 5 and the S7 Edge, this doesn't apply to a lot of people, but it does apply to me. Android Auto is not working on either of those phones on Marshmallow. I can't get it to connect to my Android Auto head unit, so I reached out to Google and Android on Twitter, and they've given me a couple suggestions, things I already tried, like clearing the cache, trying a different USB cable. I tried rebooting the phone. I even tried clearing the Bluetooth memory on my Android Auto head unit. None of that stuff's worked. So that's a small thing. It's not a big deal. Most people don't even have Android Auto, so it's not going to make a huge difference. The other thing, the little Otg cable that came in the box with the Galaxy S7 Edge is pretty cool. It turns out you can connect a whole bunch of stuff to that. You can connect, of course, just a regular USB flash drive, and you can transfer files. You can also plug in a USB cable in there and then go from the Otg drive to another micro USB on another Samsung device, and you can use their Smart Sync functionality, transfer over your contacts, transfer over your apps, etc. from another phone. I tried that with my Note 5. It actually works pretty seamlessly. I just transferred over my call history, a few minor things. I usually like to set up my apps sort of as a new phone, just sort of get a new flavor for how the phone runs without having anything installed. So that's a really cool addition. You could also plug in a larger portable hard drive or something if you wanted a ton of space for movies. So it's nice of Samsung to give you that option if you want it on the Galaxy S7 Edge. Otherwise, I ran some benchmarks last night. You guys check out my Twitter, you probably saw those. I ran Geekbench as well as I run Antutu. The Antutu was really close to about 130,000, which is a really, really impressive score. You guys saw my Galaxy Note 5 scored around 83 or 84,000 on Marshmallow. So you're still looking at like a 45,000 score difference between the two devices, even on Marshmallow. So the Snapdragon 820 doing really, really well, definitely giving you great performance. So overall, really impressed with the benchmarks. Of course, that doesn't mean anything if the RAM management is poor or if the phone doesn't perform snappy in real life, but so far I've had no issues with that either. So it seems like the S7 Edge in terms of performance is just a beast overall. The one negative thing I have to say so far in using it for 24 hours is the always-on display that Samsung's put on here is pretty much useless, to be honest with you. Not to hate on them, it was a decent first try, and I like always-on display, like on the Motorola phones or on the Nexus. You can't interact with any of the apps, so you can't take any action. You can only see the stock Samsung apps as well, so if you don't use their email, their messages, their everything, you're not going to be able to see any other apps. So I can't see my Gmail notifications, can't see Hangouts, which I use for text messages. So since I don't use anything but the caller, the dialer app for Samsung, that's the only notifications I really see that are pertinent to me on the always-on screen. In addition to that, it seems to drain, I don't know, more battery than you're probably going to want because I left it sitting overnight. Of course, I also had other things running in the background. it dropped about 13% over like 6.5 hours that I was asleep. That's kind of a lot. My Note 5, without the always-on functionality on Marshmallow, sort of left them both side by side running overnight. It only lost 7%, and my Note 5 is actually running a few more apps because I haven't got everything installed on this phone yet. So the always-on screen, I'm gonna have to test it some more with the battery life. But overall, it doesn't really offer that much functionality to trade off for battery life, in my opinion. I have a watch, got my Android Wear watch. Even if you have a regular watch, you don't need your phone on all the time to check the time. And if you're not getting any extra notification interaction, or you're not getting all of your notifications, just the Samsung ones, then what's the point? So overall, I'm not a big fan of that yet. Of course, still, a lot of time to test that out. That's just my first impression. Battery life, I know somebody's gonna ask about that. After 24 hours and one charge, it's kind of hard to say anything about battery life that's gonna be pertinent to you, because battery life is something you gotta measure over at least maybe the first 3 to 4 cycles. It wasn't terrible in the first cycle. I did a lot of stuff. I ran a lot of benchmark tests. And of course I had the screen on. I got about 3.5 hours screen on time. Last night when I got back from the movies, I had about 20% left. I mean, that's not great, but again, I was running a lot of benchmark tests, just testing the phone out, a lot of stuff, so throwing a lot of heavy stuff at it, and then also not really using it like I normally would. So the first cycle, not really a great indicator. Today I just started shooting this video. I had about 84%, and I got about an hour and 20 minutes screen on time. More regular usage like social media and videos, I think that's gonna be more indicative of what we see. That projects out to about 5 hours screen on time. That would be pretty fantastic in my opinion overall, if we could get 5 hours from this phone. If there's anything else you guys want me to test, I'm gonna do some more RAM management tests, as I mentioned. Gonna try to do a speed test, compare this to a few other phones, like the iPhone. The other thing I wanted to mention really quickly before I forget, the camera, of course, that's the other big thing. The camera on this thing is unbelievable. It's just blowing my mind, to be honest with you. If you go on my Google Plus or my Twitter or my Instagram, check out the photo I took last night inside the movie theater during the previews of my Jordan 11 Low, the Jordan 11 Low infrareds. Super low light because it's inside the theater before the previews come on. You got those very, 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 very dim lights on the side lighting it up, and just an amazing performance by the S7 Edge in that low light. It had a 400 ISO, and I believe a very, very, very impressive exposure, and still very, very, very little noise, which I was super impressed with. If you check out that photo and look at the details, I posted it on Twitter. I think you'll be really impressed with what this camera has to offer. I also posted some other photos when I was out last night. I was taking some pictures at IKEA and some other stuff. That stuff's on my Instagram, and of course I'll have more photos leading up to the review on Instagram and Twitter. But overall, super impressed with the phone, performance-wise, camera-wise, battery life, we'll see. Always on display. I don't think it's all that great. It's not as good as the Moto phones, not as good as the Nexus, but of course I'll test it some more and give it a fair shake. So overall, those are my thoughts. If you guys have any questions, hit me in the comments below. You can find me on Google+, Twitter, and Instagram with the links in the description. Like I said, I'll be posting more photos, benchmarks, and more discussion on my social accounts. Also find me writing at dopetechdaily.com. I'll have a lot more coverage of this, including, for the first time ever, I'm gonna do a full written review in addition to my video review, which will be up, in a week or two once I've had the phone for a while. All right, guys, I appreciate you checking out the vlog, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.